Hello everyone, welcome back to the Anarchy Podcast. Today we're here with Dectonic, and it's been a while since the last Anarchy Podcast, but we're back. So yeah, welcome, and we're here with DMC as well.
Yeah, what's up guys?
We can go to the first question. So for people who don't know who you are, Dectonic, can you give a brief summary?
So I am a player that joined at the end of 2016. I then joined a group called Visionary. The Visionary is a group that probably no one knows like anything about, but because they were absolutely dumpstered by fucking Imperium in 2017, I believe, which is fucking hilarious because I ended up being in Imperium. But I'm just a fucking player who collects shit, does random ass shit around 2B, well, did, and is known for some weird ass shit I don't think a lot of other people are known for on 2B.
Sounds good. So starting up with our first proper question, how did you find out about 2B?
2B, I found about 2B from watching a couple videos. One was from watching a video by Hermeticlock from when he was coding the website 2b2t.online, which hosts like public coordinates about like landmarks on the on 2B and like bases and certain shit like that. And then I joined off of that because I thought that was pretty cool. Then I also then I joined from watching a Rusher video, I believe. This was when I was a little youngling, so yeah, I was watching faction videos and all that type of shit.
So you joined in like late 2016?
Yeah, late 2016 because I would have joined earlier, but I didn't have a laptop or any sort of computer that can actually work. Like, the computer I had back then for my family and shit like that, it was so fucking garbage. Like,
so you would consider yourself a proper rusher?
I would consider myself a proper rusher, yes.
Nice. Yeah, same, because I joined, what was it, Rusher's first video as well. So yeah. When you first joined the server, what did you do?
When I first joined the server, it took me a while to get out of spawn. A fucking while. This is when I really did not know anything about the server whatsoever. And I would try to get into like another portal, instantly die because I'll just get trapped. And I would just be sitting there for like hours on hours, just waiting to be let go because I couldn't type /kill in chat because I didn't have portal chat enabled. And I would just sit there for hours and hours and fucking no one would help me until some random person would just kill me out of a fist fight. So it took me a long time to escape spawn, a couple of days actually, because I kept on rubber banding from the actual server connection. As I remember, I would fall off of like a 4-jump height, like 4 blocks high, and I would just start lagging and it would just kick me for flying. So the server was not up to par with the hardware, but after I got out to around 7K, where I built a little mine, and I was like in chat begging for people to base with me near spawn, and then I ended up running into a player who I've actually been in contact since I joined. He's a little weird, but he's pretty cool.
Who's that?
His name's a spin-off of XCC2's name. It's XSS2. He's a proper dude, but like he's just weird. He's fucking weird.
In what way?
No, he's just like he just asks like weird ass questions, like, and it doesn't sound like he has like common sense about anything on 2B. Like I remember I just popped up on 2B one day. He's like, "Oh my god, I think I remember you. I think." I was like, "I sure do. What's up?" And then he was just like begging me for stuff, and it was like, I don't know, it was fucking weird. He's just a weird person to talk to. He's like just offset about everything.
Oh, fair enough. And so during your time escaping spawn, did you find or visit any cool like monuments or like farms or?
Yeah, first place I went to was fucking Valley of Wheat.
Oh shit! How was like what's kind of state?
It was destroyed to absolute shit. It was demolished, fucking destroyed. I remember I was like, bro, am I at the Valley of Wheat? Because I was just inside of a fucking a lava cast.
Yeah, that lava cast is like really huge right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Fucking.
It's basically spawn too.
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the first ever stops a lot of people go to. Is the Valley of Wheat. It's like close to spawn, so I can see why.
After like you went to like the beginning and stuff like that, like after your beginning on 2B2T, were you a part of any groups?
Yeah, I was a part of I was about to say Imperium. No, I was a part of Visionary. Visionary for like 2-3 months until their base got destroyed. And then I remember I joined the Fourth Reich Discord and I got instantly kicked. I don't remember, but I just got instantly kicked. And that's all I really remember.
Tell us a little about a little bit about Visionary. Like, what sort of team was that?
It was more of like a building group, but it was like one of those groups that like it was ran by a person that really didn't know what the fuck they were doing because the original leader got outlawed by a furry redneck named 1BitJ who now has a NSFW Twitter. Do not look that up on Twitter, please.
Okay, that's enough internet for
Yeah, it was mostly a building group, but they talked a lot of shit in chat, and they were actually one of the groups that stayed at Herm's spawn base for a while. When I was invited to, I was actually you had to be invited to Herm's spawn base unless you were killed on sight. I remember this in 2017 when I got invited by a player named Alpha Centauri A1 who came back to 2B like 2 years later, but I never got to talk to him. And he invited me. He was always like spawn fagging there. He was like one of the original spawn fags of like 2017. But he invited me to Herm spawn base, and I remember just seeing double chest on double chest on double chest on double chest of just like of maps. And you know what the maps were? It was fucking Alpha Computer's presidential campaign of 2017. Alpha Computer for president. That's what the maps were.
Oh my god.
There were just dubs on dubs on dubs on dubs of fucking just the same map over and over and over again.
Did you contribute anything to the world famous spawn?
I remember. I'm pretty sure I was there before the giant dinosaur skull was there because I don't remember the dinosaur skull being there. But I went. I think I built like a little platform on one of the lava casts that built off from Alpha Centauri A1's little obsidian house that he built there. Yeah, I think that's all I did. Oh no, yeah, I built a house on the ground near. There was like a bunch of prismarine blocks on the ground, and I built near it.
And have you been a part of like any other groups?
In my beginning or just like all around?
I guess like in order.
So it went from Visionary to BSB. Sorry, Dig, about that. Then it went to Highland. Then sorry about that, Lotus. Then it went to Imperium. Then I went to where did I go after Imperium? I don't even think I did anything after Imperium, to be fully honest. I think I was just floating around, being a professional nomad, doing things.
What was the history with you and Imperium?
Okay, this is gonna be controversial, but so with Imperium, I joined Imperium 2019 around March, and I left around I think May or June, so I can do my schoolwork and focus on my actual life. And when I came back, so I left not just because of schoolwork. I left because I was in charge of a base called Menkari. No world downloads were taken of it, sadly, but it was me, Family Pumpkin, Elementars, and a bunch of Spawn Mason players. And when that got destroyed by our own members, Family Pumpkin and Elementars, I got pissed at them and I left Imperium because they did not tell me anything about them blowing up the base, and they didn't give me permission for anything that they were doing at the base. So it was kind of just like a shit in a sock.
Wait, and this was 2019 or
2019.
Oh.
This was 2019. But 2020, with 2019 going into 2020, I would say November to December, I was in Imperium. Like, I was just talking with them because I wasn't fully back into 2v2t at the time. I was just talking with them, playing other games with them, just having fun, until a friend of mine, UFO Crossing, Jared 2013, showed up to his spawn stash and took a picture and sent it to one of the players that was there, or like someone in Imperium or something. And once they saw that picture, they blew up the stash and they were transferring all the stuff there, on like stuff out of the stash. And it's just a very controversial thing that no one really like talks about anymore because it's kind of just like a shit fest whenever it's talked about. But Finsta was ordered to destroy everything because UFO had a falling out with Jumpy, who is X-Dolph, and he didn't want them to have any of the items whatsoever because they didn't want to like transfer, blah 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 blah. And so stuff ended up getting blown up, and Naughty ended up killing Finsta, and that started a whole debate between Imperium and UFO Crossing, and I ended up fucking going with UFO Crossing on it because it's kind of a fucked topic of them just blowing up the stash without even asking. And yeah, and then they also added me to the KOS list and even named their Goon Squad channel after me just because I transferred from Imperium to the Spawn Masons.
On the topic of juicy block game good drama, I think let's rewind a bit. Let's rewind a bit and tell us the story about you and BS.
Motherfucker. Okay. So I just remember sitting in a fucking voice chat with y'all. Y'all really hated my man Offsets, and me and him were kind of talking at the time. We're like, bro, they're talking mad shit about you. And I was like, fuck it, let me just inside them. So I gave Offsets the fucking coordinates to the VSB spawn base, and we blew it up. And I thought it was hot shit.
I remember you uploaded the video of it, and then you kept DMing me saying, "When am I gonna make a video?"
I don't remember that, but yeah, I was a little asshole. Fucking, that was when I was like 15. Ew.
Nice. And so what happened after you joined? So you joined Highland like after?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your like experiences with Highland?
I joined Highland. I was gonna be invited to a base of theirs, and it took them a long ass time for them to invite me. No, I actually think I was present at one of their bases, but it was like a little base, and I really had no interest in it. I can't remember the coordinates of it, but it took like forever to actually get to it. Then I just completely forgot about it. But then I ended up inciting them for one of their stashes that they had on an island. So I was kind of known for inciting a bit in that little time, which like I wasn't able to rank up in Imperium after I incited Highland for Imperium. I wasn't able to rank up in Imperium for like 4 months because they didn't trust me whatsoever.
I mean, that's what Imperium does, don't they? If like they ask you to incite for them, and if you actually go through with it, they kind of like don't really want you in their group.
Exactly, they just want to blow up the base.
Yeah. In your opinion, what would you say has been your like favorite group?
I would say all of them because everything was like a learning experience for me because I went from a new fag mentality to an actual person. It's like I'm able to do shit with my surroundings. Like I know certain things that are like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Fucking.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, Imperium, I definitely enjoyed being a part of, but it's kind of stupid what they started doing, like how they started griefing like bedrock monuments, like they griefed the bedrock cross, which was pretty stupid and childish in my opinion, but it's only block game shit anyways. But yeah, that's in my opinion.
Do you think like new players should join like groups as soon as they join, or like try to experience 2B2T first?
I think new players should definitely try to interact with people, but not technically join a group, because I feel like it would only drift their mentality and bias to hate another person that they're being told to hate. And I just think that it's best for a person to get settled first and then realize everything around them, that how shit actually works, just for them to then join a group. Because I feel like joining a group, like, right off the bat will just put you in a group spawn fag mentality. And that's how spawn fags are born.
Nice. And what was your first base on 2B2T?
I don't know if you can call it a fucking base, but first base, I technically made myself and an actual IRL friend. It was like 3k off like 30k in the nether, and it was just like a giant dupe stash that me and my friend made after I bought stuff from McRen's item shop. because I literally had no idea on because when I joined back from being in 2017 to 2018, I had no items whatsoever. I think I had like an original THX kit and some reverted alpha computer maps. That's like the only thing I had. And I just bought items and I put them. This was the time during the chunk dupe, and I duped a shit ton of items during there. And it was just he built like a giant coliseum, and I was just duping items and building blocks from.
Is that the stash I found?
No, that's not the stash you found.
Yeah.
That's a stash I started with official speed. After I incited Highland.
In the groups, like Imperium, stuff like that, like was there any bases that like you thought that were like pretty cool?
The first Imperium base I was invited to, Sigma base, that was Sigma City, I think it was called. Family Pumpkin was there, and it was one of my favorite bases I've been at because there were such a sheer amount of people there, and you couldn't trust anyone there. It kind of put yourself in like an environment where you couldn't trust anyone, but it was really fun to base there because this was when we went into Super Duper Good Boys live stream, Discord, and we took everyone in the voice chat and I recruited them to Imperium, and it was just it was madness. Like I invited a person, like a random new fat group I joined. His name was Seluxor, and he was a fucking perfect builder. The man was insane, and I invited him there. I invited a bunch of other people there, and it was just an overall thrill of being there. Like, it was just nice. It was nice being at a group base where like 7 people were on at a time. Even though I didn't really build anything there except for like a little hut and my unstacking station. You can check this world download on the archive, even though the world download actually sucks. But that was before I was taking world downloads.
Nice. And have you ever incited any groups or bases?
I mean, yeah, I said earlier, I incited BSB and Highland and some weird new fag group I just can't remember the name of at all. But I know there was like other like 3 insiders in there, and I made sure I was the first one to incite them.
One of those classic new fags groups, right?
Yeah. But I ended up getting a cool builder named Seluxor out of that group. He was like proper builder.
All right, nice. So moving on to your like next category of what you're known for, which is base hunting. So tell us a little bit about like your base hunting thing. So how is it like?
I mean, I really didn't automatically get into base hunting. I got into base hunting after I explored ruins of bases, like old bases, for a player named Turban who runs the archive. I would take world downloads of the actual terrain, so he can add the terrain around existing world downloads, so he can enhance the world download that he had before. And I don't know, something clicked, and it made me want to actually just like go into ruins and collect actual stuff that was at ruins. It just like something clicked, and it just made me interested into old fag nature. And once I noticed a pattern with bases and old bases, including that how close they were actual to accesses. So what I would do is I would go around spawn, and I would just like fly like 30k on the x-axis. Then I would go off into like the left direction, and I would just look for old bases, and I end up finding Celessi, who was a player at 700 base, I think. I'm not sure about that. You can correct me on that. But I ended up finding her spawn base, which was pretty cool, next to an old base I'm not allowed to disclose. But yeah, and then I ended up finding a bunch of old old stuff that I can't even talk about either because it's fucking dope. But and then after that, I just started going further out until I ended up going around like 500k in the overworld. Then I developed a technique where I would go directly off of the highway and in like a straight line, and I ended up finding like dupe stashes on top of dupe stashes with also finding active bases as well, which was pretty cool. And this is all just following chunk trails and just using my method. And of course, I've actually developed that method over and over, from me just randomly going in the nether to actually just traveling overworld. And it was like a journey that I would definitely partake again, because it was definitely something that made me kept on coming back to 2B. And it was just overall just fun, just finding all this stuff. Like, I haven't gone back to my dupe stash in months because I've been fucking invading people's dupe stashes and homes and leaking the codes publicly to people.
What do you think is better for finding bases, exploring in the nether or exploring the overworld?
I say overworld. It might wear down on your elytra more, but I say you cover more land and areas, because if you travel in the nether, no one bases in the nether, so you won't even find anything. Only thing you'll find is maybe a portal, and the portal you can obviously go into and then look around for chunk trails and stuff like that. But I've had more success of traveling overworld than actually in the nether.
And like in total, how many bases do you think you found so far?
Probably upwards of 75.
Wow.
Near like between 50 and 70, including like new fang bases and like dupe stashes. And that was in, I'd say, 3 months. And every single base I found, I've either leaked publicly, explored, invaded, taken the cords down, or just like taken a world download and sent it off to Turban so you can add it to the archive once it's blown up.
I heard that you found a base called the Secret Society base. And
Yes.
What is that base?
This is the Secret Society base. It was a base that was made in 2017 or 2018. Whenever Ant Venom joined, it was made with Michael McChill, Scribble Fox, Jordan L666 or 66. I'm sure. And a couple other people, and I ended up finding a bunch of I found Michael McChill's dog, who is Ant Venom's editor. I found a bunch of people's dogs, which adds to my dog collection. And yeah, that's about it. They had a massive map art sorter for shulkers and stuff like that. And it was one of the biggest ones I've actually seen at a base. I was apparently the first one ever to find it. And whenever I asked people if they've the actual people that based there, I asked them if anyone else has found it, and they said no, and I didn't find any other signs as well.
And how far out was that base?
I'm not sure. I can try to find the cords, and I can actually send them to you. I don't really care. But yeah, it wasn't. I think it was 200, 300k maybe.
Oh.
It wasn't too far. I was actually drunk when I found it, which is
just passing it.
Yeah, I found the villager farm that they had first, and then I followed a railroad that they had, and it led me towards their stash and everyone else's dogs and pets and builds, and it was such a cool base.
Would you say that's one of the bases you've been most proud or that you've enjoyed finding?
Yeah, definitely. Apparently, and especially when there's big names at the actual base as well. You're not gonna find a Michael McChill dog anywhere else on the server unless he's based there, obviously. But he quit a long time ago and hasn't played on 2B in a bit. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would say it was all worth finding that one dog because it just adds to the collection.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
And I heard you also found Netta T's dupe stashes.
Yes. I found. Well, I first thought it was Mr. T Dude's dupe stash, which is Tristan. But after I looked into the actual gear, and I ended up finding Aurora gear and stuff that was named Netta T's helmet, Netta T's chest plate, and it didn't have the Netta T and Offtopia. It was just Netta T. And I've never seen that before. So I was like, this has to be Netta T stuff. And I ended up finding a sign. I don't think I actually told this to anyone else, but I ended up finding a sign 5k away saying this way with an arrow pointing up, and it was pointing at the dupe stash that was in the sky. And it said under it, Netta. So I found out that it's Netta T's dupe stashes. One was already looted, or all the illegals that I loaded in, like that were in the droppers, were reverted. But everything else at the other dupe stash, which had stuff for being like a 2017 base with not base but dupe stash with like enchanted glass, house master heads, player heads, dragon eggs, golden apples, like golden apples beyond belief. There was way more golden apples there than anything else at the fucking dupe stash. I have no idea why, but float your boat. Yeah, it was overall just like a really nice stash and such a weird find. I was actually in a voice chat with like 7 other like new fags in the crafting table Discord that were screaming at the top of their lungs why I found it. And when I mentioned that I found a deep stash, I just kept on getting direct messages from them for like 3 days straight asking for the stash itself. But that stash soon came to an end after I gave the coordinates to a friend, so they can try to export the actual illegals that were there, which they never got to because the person I gave it to, his name was Parthicus. You might know who Parthicus is. He's an old player. I gave him the coordinates so he can help as well, and he ended up giving the coordinates to an Imperium member called Unko Chad and some other Imperium member, but the Imperium ended up teaming with my friends, and they blew it up right in front of Parthicus when he joined back to the stash. So that was pretty fucking funny.
Going on to other things that people love messaging you about, would you care to explain your whole ordeal with
Oh, this is gonna be a long one. Okay, so shrubs. So they were placed at a base that I was a part of, and they were then sheared and then duped to beyond Bolivian. And then once that happened, I took the shrubs and I gave them to Sal C1 so I can get some nice block game clout. And once I did that, I ended up just like showing off to people, me going on a clout rampage and showing it off to people. And I ended up going to a crafting table base, where I ended up giving people some shrubs after being drunk off my ass. Yeah.
The original creators, or like the people who originally found it, weren't too happy about that, were they?
Yes, they weren't very too happy, but they can suck my dick.
Hell yeah.
They can suck my chode.
You repair bases on 2B2C.
Mm-hmm.
So, why do you repair bases?
I repair bases. I don't do it too often, or when I played, I didn't do it too often. But whenever I saw a base that was actually kind of cool for the environment it was in, and like how like old it was or how new it was, depending on how old or new it was, I would either take screenshots, world download, or just repair and leave, with only leaving a sign of my name. But just I repaired old bases and new bases and whatever just because I just got bored, simply just because I got bored, and I fell in love with like the old fag nature, which I thought was super cool at the time. Well, it still is, but it was just a cool thing for me to like do whenever I found like an old fag base, something to pass the time.
Nice. And what was the oldest base you've repaired?
I don't think I can disclose that one, but I'm pretty sure the age of it was like 2011 or 2012, somewhere around
Bottom.
that. Huh?
Infernus.
Yeah, I just don't remember.
So we can move on to the miscellaneous questions. So, have you collected any artifacts or books on the server?
Yes, I did. And still do, because they're still on my account. But I started collecting after I was taking world downloads for the archive server, and I just when I went to King's Landing, I ended up finding an old stash there with a bunch of other named like gear and banners, which got me in contact with other people who were actually interested in the banners and artifacts I was collecting. So I would often give those artifacts to people because I just didn't see myself actually collecting that sort of stuff until later on, until I started actually finding a lot of like old bases. There was just like a streak where I just kept on finding old bases. I found like 3-4 old like 2012, 2013 bases, like 4 of them in like a week. like back to back to back. It was such a good time, but yeah, it brought me to collect like artifacts, especially when I was at Netati's Deep Stash, because there was stuff there that not a lot of other people had. And there was this sword called Tizona, which has some like old fag history to it about killing Jack the Ripper, killing Jared 2013 with it or something like that. But it ended up getting duped, and a lot of other people had it, which I didn't know. But it was one of the things that I found that I was like really, really impressed finding. And it was at Netati's Deep Stash, which was actually pretty cool. I've collected lots and lots of books ranging from like old players like Cancer Chan, Totorak, UFO Crossing, a lot, and even new players. I would even just go to spawn and just start handing out book and quills to new players so I can just collect their books if like they became a notable player like one day. So yeah, I just started doing that.
Nice. And what's the story of you finding Pyrobite's dog?
So the story goes, me and a player named Charlie, he sent me the coordinates to a actual place. I don't know if I can actually disclose what it is yet because there's some difficulties with the place right now. But fuck it, I'll just say it. It's a old stash made by Valkyria. Their biggest stash known to man, or known to Valkyria, because it was like the only like stash they had at the time, but the backdoor Pyro had. It was the stash you even mentioned in one of your videos when you talked about Anatolia. And yeah, I ended up finding Pyro's dog just sitting by another portal in an obsidian room, and me and another friend ended up transporting him away. And yeah, I mean, that's where I also started collecting stuff as well, because I found pretty sure it was Licensed Nerds Incorporated gear, because oh my god, that voice crack, Jesus Christ. Licensed Nerds Incorporated gear. It was, I think the helmets were like HLM, but I'm not even sure.
Is there like any other notable artifacts you found?
Well, I'm more of a, with artifacts it's weird because I will even like collect it even if it's not named, which people don't really do that much. Like if I find a diamond chestplate at a 2013 or 2012 base, of course I'm gonna take that even if it's not named. I found a either 2011 or 2012 or 2013, I'm not sure, but it was a base called it was from a French player named Lives, and the dog had an orange collar, confirming that it was an old base and dog and an old player. But yeah, I ended up finding a pickaxe there that had like 1 durability left, and it was like some Spanish and French thing, which was also like one of the things that got me into collecting as well.
Do you trade a lot of your artifacts, or do you like to keep it?
The only thing I've traded are coordinates to bases I found. I know I've done a trade with a couple people, revolving like some bases, like a group base. I think I found I did a trade with another group, and that base is now blown to smithereens. But
what did you trade for it?
It was just coordinates for coordinates. I usually don't trade like actual artifacts because you'll probably never find the stuff that I find anywhere else. So I rather just trade coordinates, because even if I trade the stuff I had, the stuff I could be trading for is also like fake shit that someone just renamed a diamond pickaxe to Pyrobite's Dick Smiter or whatever.
Like glorious gold and stuff.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you want to say before we go to the ending questions?
No, not much. No, that's about it. You've touched my life.
Do you have any shoutouts?
Shoutouts? I want to shout out everyone that I've met on 2B, good or bad. Y'all fuckers are cool, including the bases and players I've insided and betrayed trust with. Y'all are cool. We should call someday. I don't fucking know. Yeah, that's about it.
And where can people find you if they want to get in contact?
They can find me on Discord at Dectonic #6576, or they can try to get in contact with me on NameMC or something like that.
Nice. And our most favorite question, the most important question: what's your favorite type of cheese?
Cheese?
Yes.
This is a difficult one because I consider myself a cheese connoisseur. I'm
pretty sure the last
personally-
person said that as well.
I would say maybe pepper jack cheese. But I know a lot of people will not try it whatsoever. But have you ever heard of the maggot cheese? Like there's maggots inside of the
I know
cheese.
What the?
Yeah, they make it in Italy, and you have to close your eyes or wear a blindfold while doing it because the maggots will actually jump into your eyes while eating it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's an actual thing. I will actually be down to fucking try that, like, no cap whatsoever. Like, I'll try that shit. But I do like me some cheddar. I like me some sharp cheddar. Mozzarella, like some Gouda. Gouda is pretty good. And blue cheese as well. I like blue cheese.
Well, this is the end of the Anarchy Podcast. Thank you, Dectonic, for coming on.
No problem.
And, yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Fuck my friends, they're gone. They all left one by one. And now the summer's done. They don't need no more fun. Yeah, drive around on my own. I'm rich, but my AC broke. Don't